from Karnataka, where the Karnataka government has withdrawn 3 cases against 112 people, including Vishweshwar Hegde of the BJP and Bajrang Dal workers. And the cases were filed during communal riots, which happened 6 years ago and led to the death of Paresh Mesta. Now, Paresh died on December 6th, 2017, reportedly after an altercation between 2 communities over an accident. And the BJP leaders had alleged that Paresh was a victim of communal violence and had handed over the investigation of the case to CBI.
Cabinet decision now, and the government has decided to draw up about 112 cases against BJP leaders, right-wing organisation members and others who were involved in the Paresh Mesta case that had reached the CBI. Joining us is the Home Minister right now. Sir, when this case had happened, sir, call it a death, call it a murder, call it what you will, there was a lot of politics that had gone around this. BJP leaders had then alleged that, this communal violence which was caused, the protests had turned violent. Today, the government is dropping about 112 cases against BJP leaders and members of right-wing outfits. Sir, why?
Nodi, BJP leaders antalalla. Paresh Mesta ಕೇಸಲ್ಲಿ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕೊಲೆ ಆಗಿದೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅವತ್ತು ಆ ಊರಿನವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿತ್ತು. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಭಾವನಾತ್ಮಕವಾಗಿ ರಸ್ತೆಗಿಳಿದು ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವರು ಯಾವುದೇ ಆಸ್ತಿ ಹಾನಿ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ಕೂಡ ಅವ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಮೊಕದ್ದಮೆ ಇತ್ತು. ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ಅವರು ಕೋರ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅಲಿತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಇಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅನೇಕ ಕೇಸ್ಗಳನ್ನ ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಸರ್ಕಾರ. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ ಪರೇಶ್ ಮಸ್ತಾ ಕೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವಾಲ್ವ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು, ಪ್ರತಿಭಟನೆ ಮಾಡಿದವರಲ್ಲಿ ಮೊಕದ್ದಮೆ ಇದ್ದಂಥವ್ರನ್ನ ಖುಲಾಸೆ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಆಗಿದೆ.
So isn't this a very political move right now to have dropped the cases just a few weeks before the elections?
ಎಲೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಇದ್ದಾಗ ಆರಂಭದಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. PFI ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಆಗೋರನ್ನು ಕೂಡ ಅವತ್ತು ಕಾಂಗ್ರೆಸ್ ಸರ್ಕಾರ ಕೇಸನ್ನು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿತ್ತು. ಇವತ್ತು ಹಾಗಿಲ್ಲ. ಬಿಜೆಪಿ ಸರ್ಕಾರ, ರೈತ ಸಂಘದ ಹೋರಾಟಗಾರರು, ಕನ್ನಡ ಚಳವಳಿಗಾರರು, ಹೀಗೆ ಅನೇಕರು ಇವತ್ತು ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿದ ಕೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅನೇಕ ಮುಸ್ಲಿಮರು ಕೂಡ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವ್ರದ್ದು ಕೇಸ್ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೋ ಧರ್ಮ ಪೊಲಿಟಿಕಲ್ ಪಾರ್ಟಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಲ್ಲ. ಆ ಕೇಸಿನ ಸಾಧ್ಯಾಸಾಧ್ಯತೆಗಳನ್ನ ಮತ್ತು ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಚರ್ಚೆ ಮಾಡಿ ಆ ಕೇಸ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಮಾಯಕರು ಅಂತ ಕಂಡು ಬಂದರೆ ಅಂಥ ಕೇಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಅನಾವಶ್ಯಕವಾಗಿ ಕೋರ್ಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲಿಬಾರದವರು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಆಗಿದೆ. ಬೇರೆ ಯಾವುದೇ ವೈಲೆನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥ ಹೆಬಿಚುವಲ್ ಅಪರಾಧಿಗಳು ಅಲ್ಲ ಅವರು. ಅಂತಹ ಸಂದರ್ಭಗಳನ್ನು ಆಲೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಿ ವಿಡ್ರಾ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ತಾರೆ.
My colleague Neha joins me live on the broadcast on this breaking story. Neha, good afternoon. Just to draw things into perspective for our viewers as well about this particular case that happened 6 years ago. And as you speak about that, the timing of the fact that this decision has been taken is also quite questionable because the state is going into elections. And as you speak about that as well, the fact that this investigation was handed over to the CBI, I believe. So if you could draw, all those parallels as you give us the significant development.
Well, absolutely. It was in 2017, in fact, in the December of 2017, that we saw Paresh Mesta, a young 18-year-old boy back then, in fact, who was killed, of course, while there were a lot of allegations and counter-allegations later that turned the story highly political. In fact, this entire death itself was politicized to a point where we saw massive protests breaking out across Uttar Kannada district, across the area of Sirsi as well. While there were protests, of course, protesters had hit the streets demanding action against those perpetrators, claiming that this was a communally violent crime, that this murder was politically motivated, that this murder was communally motivated. Now, with that being said, of course, let's cut across to a couple of years later. Of course, the case was handed over to the CBI. There was that investigation that was going on as well. But the fact that the government today, in fact, has decided to drop 3 cases against about 112 people, including BJP leaders as well as right-wing, organization members, does, of course, go on to raise a lot of questions. The timing of this. Now, when we questioned the Home Minister about whether this was understandably so politically motivated, he went on to draw a parallel to when the Congress government under the tenure of Siddaramaiah had dropped cases against PFI. Now, of course, one thing that we must remember is that even as those violent protests had broken out across the state, especially in the Uttar Kannada district of Karnataka, back then too, in fact, while this entire issue had turned highly communal also, there was a lot of politics that played out against it. This is the second batch of cases that's being dropped in the Paresh Mesta case against all of these people. Now, as far as, of course, the Congress is concerned over here, we'll have to await a reaction from them, because this is important to mention that it was during their tenure that this case, of course, that this, death of Paresh Mesta had taken place.
Right, Neha. Thank you very much for getting us all the inputs on that breaking story. We're, of course, going to keep a close eye. Like you said, we'll have to wait and see what the Congress is going to be reacting to, the same as well in Karnataka. But for the moment, we leave it at that and shift